Hi, my name is Ryan. I'm a technician over here at VoltBike. Today we're going to do a very short video on the 05E error code on the display, which corresponds to the hydraulic pressure switch sensor in the hydraulic brake. So it's essentially the motor cutoff switch for the electrical system. For this test and adjustment, you are going to require a 2mm Allen key, a 7mm wrench, and that's pretty much it. So for this test, I'm actually going to simulate an error by turning it on with the brake already squeezed. So I'm just going to use my zip tie here. So now if we turn on the system with the brake squeezed, the controller is going to think that the switch has been activated, which indeed gives us the 05E error code. You'll see the little flashing motor there. That's basically just saying, hey, I'm not happy and I don't want to work anymore. So if you are getting this error code and both of your brakes are not squeezed when you turn on the bike, then you can isolate which side is giving you the problems by disconnecting that switch on the harness right here. So obviously you'll see the left side has its own, and then of course the right side has its own too. So now you'll see if I unplug the corresponding wire to that pressure switch, that 05E error code will disappear if I've unplugged the one that's trouble, so you can actually tell which one is left or right. Again, the bike has to be turned on with that sort of setting going off. So if you turn it off again and turn it back on with it disconnected, you'll no longer see that error code because it's not reading that that sensor is connected and therefore not closing the switch. Okay, so next thing, now that we've isolated which side it is that's our troublemaker, we'll go ahead and make sure everything is plugged back in together, and we're going to adjust the hydraulic pressure switch location up here in the brake calipers. So for that, that's where you're going to require your 7mm and your 2mm Allen key. So there's two separate nuts on here. One of these is the hydraulic line. That's the lower, that's the bigger one. We don't want to mess with that. That's an 8mm. This one right here with this sensitive electrical wire is the 7mm nut that we will be adjusting. I guess you can call it a nut. It's actually more of a fitting. But underneath as well, we've also got the small 2mm Allen key, which we will first loosen about 1.5 turns so that we take the pressure off of that fitting. We can then take our 7mm. Now I find personally, this may not be the case for yours, but I find that usually from the factory they're just a bit too tight, and that's what causes the 05E error. So I'm going to move the pressure switch out by turning that nut counterclockwise. I'd say about 3/4 to a full turn. And that, you'll see, will add a little bit of distance there. You can also not be shy, go ahead and take that wire and just give it a little bit of a jiggle. There's a spring in back there, and sometimes they don't seat very nicely and it just doesn't want to move, and that could be the reason for your error there. Once you've made the adjustment on this, be sure to take your 2mm Allen key once more and tighten that little screw back the exact same amount of rotations you undid it. So I did about 1.5 turns there. Make sure it's nice and snug, but don't over torque it. And from there, you should be able to turn on your bike. So again, turn it off, turn it back on again. Make sure your error code is gone. And don't be afraid to make sure that it still actually works. So when you squeeze the brake lever, you should see that little exclamation point come on. That's the indicator that your motor cutoff is indeed working. And then of course another test is the back wheel will not actually spin while you're squeezing the brake. And that's it. If you have any further questions, feel free to reach out. My name is Ryan, so Ryan@voltbike.com. Have a great day.